Okay, Assalamualaikum and greetings to everyone. So for today, my group members and I, which consists of Afiq, Shafina and Hana, so we'll be presenting on UK's foreign aid to South Sudan. So we'll be discussing and analysing on why United Kingdom still supply large amount of foreign aid to South Sudan despite their lack of development and so on and so forth.
South Sudan is supposed to be a prosperous country after its independence. Unfortunately, South Sudan faced humanitarian crisis. 4.5 billion South Sudanese are being displaced, with 9,000 of them losing access to food. The United Kingdom has offered monetary and humanitarian aid to South Sudan and called upon its government to lift all humanitarian access restrictions, despite all the risk of providing foreign aid to this country. However, despite all the aids given, South Sudan still lives in poverty, conflict between parties, attacks on civilians, and famine. Regardless of billions of euros, the effectiveness has yet to be seen. This has sparked questions on South Sudan's reliance despite its independence from the British. Why does the British keep on providing foreign aid to South Sudan when the effectiveness is questionable and yet to have its impact?
Hi there. So I'm going to explain about how UK actually got involved with Sudan in the first place, as Sudan in many centuries has witnessed numerous transitions of tribal inhabitants, kingdoms and war inflicted on its soil. In 1899, the Great Britain and Egypt had cooperated to administer Sudan under the declaration of the Anglo-Egyptian Condominium, yet Britain actually monopolized as they control the countryside and eliminating any religious revolts in the area. British was unchallenged in Sudan until after the Second World War, even though a revolt had happened in the 1924 that was conducted by those Western educated Northern Sudanese, and this had led to a growing public awareness among the educated Sudanese elite that requested the colonizer to represent as their act of speaker for the Sudanese nationalism.
4 billion South Sudanese fled their home due to food scarcity as war continues. The United Kingdom provides life-saving aid, deploying peacekeepers for vital engineering and medical assistance to UN mission of South Sudan. British implemented humanitarian assistance and resilience to provide food, shelter, education, and sanitary provisions, therapeutic nutritional support, and healthcare provision. Refugees from South Sudan will be provided housing and healthcare that can support their life, such as food, shelter, medication, better hygiene and sanitation, seedling, and equipment. Refugees in Uganda will be provided food assistance, whereas refugees in Ethiopia will be provided medical support.
UK national interest having to support South Sudan was based on two major reasons. The first one is to maintain bilateral friendly relations and securing their status in the donor community, as they are currently ranked the 5th largest donor country in the world on the Development Assistance Committee, which is DCA. It was considered that the purpose of development assistance is to reduce poverty reductions and carry out efficient aid policies. However, Britain's main purpose was actually to secure their status in the international community. In other words, they only gave small amount of money that has least impact and was not ashamed of its status as a major power. For the second interest is the use of foreign aid as a political condition. The British Foreign Secretary stated their associations with assistance and democratic reformation in 1960s, as based on the announcement, British Foreign Secretary warned the corrupted government in Africa as not to expect any aid from to the country, as if the country remains their repressive policies and wasteful economic system. On the other hand, on the positive side, to strengthen democracy or to promote human rights, the UK increased its financial aid as the success of democratization in the Sub-Saharan Africa as countries in the 1990s.
On the analysis part, so the United Kingdom and Germany are amongst the G7 countries that actually fulfill its 0.7% of its GDP for ODA, which stands for Overseas Development Assistance. And much of this foreign aid it goes to South Sudan, and it is said that the United Kingdom spends only 40% of its ODA for multinational cooperation, and the rest of it goes to South Sudan. With this large amount of foreign aid, it actually provides a leverage for the United Kingdom in the international community as a form of international recognition of its large amount of fundings towards South Sudan. So this foreign aid is actually a diplomatic tool for the United Kingdom to spread its influence, legitimacy in the South Sudan region, and to protect.
Bilateral relations are defined as political, cultural, and economical relations between two countries, namely United Kingdom and South Sudan. In April 2018, the both countries agreed to postpone the cooperation between two countries on the shared interests regarding certain issues such as trade and investment and immigration, combating terrorism, and cultural issues. On the matter of human rights, both countries concurred on the cooperation to tackle the human trafficking. Without the bilateral relations between two countries, the economical issues in South Sudan are unable to flourish. The violence and terrorism will be adverse.
So now let's discuss on United Kingdom foreign aid to South Sudan, but South Sudan has shown little or no progress. Despite of the large amount of funding of United Kingdom to South Sudan, South Sudan has shown no progress or little progress for that matters. And all of this comes back to South Sudanese government. So the absence of a functional government and the inability for the government to actually allocate the sources to the people, it actually affects the progress of South Sudan to actually come out of poverty. And this foreign aid given by United Kingdom does not actually provide immediate relief nor economic growth for for the South Sudanese people. So it actually promotes more economic growth to the donor countries. And for South Sudan, which is a country in conflict and in constant or tribal war, it actually makes the situation more worse. And the president of South Sudan, President Salva Kiir, he continued to purchase arms using the country's oil revenue, despite he could actually use the opportunity to allocate the funding to the country's progress, economic progress. So in the end, despite of the large amount of funding, it is still the responsibility of the government to actually manage their own people. And that is all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, the poverty rate in African countries has impact on global concerns due to the high percentage in inappropriate actions taken by government, especially in South Sudan, as they are facing the cycle of high poverty issue, which has caused numerous negative impacts to the country in terms of mortality rate that threaten the basic needs, the life expectancy as disease and malnutrition. As South Sudan is still under poverty due to the aftermath of civil war and natural disaster, the United Kingdom has given the foreign aid to South Sudan for them to maintain bilateral friendly relationship. However, despite the well-concerned foreign aid, the South Sudan remains at poor rates due to the misuse and poor management by their own government. Therefore, the main donor countries such as the United Kingdom have to figure out how to surely render the foreign aid to the citizens in need in recipient countries. That's all from us. Thank you so much for listening and patience.